What's happening in Iran right now is absolutely mad. They're facing economic turmoil, inflation up by like 45%, the currency collapsing, and it's becoming so disruptive, the situation, that we're actually seeing the government itself saying we want to engage with the protesters in a dialogue. You don't normally see that from authoritarian regimes like Iran unless they realise they're in real trouble. There are protests going across the country. Government buildings have been burned. Even a paramilitary officer has been killed, it's being reported. I want to show you what's happening. Here's first some clips that Sky News shared. Protesters in Iran storming a local government office. This is in Fasa.
شنیدن صدای مردم، حتی صدای اعتراض مردم، حتی صدای اعتراض تند مردم وظیفه دولت هست. همه تلاش خودمون رو میکنیم با جریان گفتگویی که ایجاد شده و با اقدامات اصلاحی که داره صورت میگیره.
So even The Guardian are reporting that we want the mullahs gone is what's being chanted. Economic crisis sparks biggest protests in Iran since 2022. This shows here a currency exchange office in Tehran. And this we showed you before, a really iconic moment, reminds us of Tiananmen Square, where this protester refused to be moved. By the way, speaking of The Guardian, Omid Jalili, who's a British comedian, wrote how amusing it was that The Guardian previously, just recently, published an opinion piece from the Islamic Republic foreign minister. He goes, it's like reporting on the hopes of the Rebel Alliance by printing an opinion piece by Darth Vader. The Times has reported that Iran protests are spreading as shutdown is now being enforced in Tehran as the regime moves to block demonstrations in and around the capital as unrest is spreading to other cities. Look at this as traders took to the streets of Tehran on Monday amid deepening economic gloom. France 24 have reported that an Iran Revolutionary Guard member is reportedly killed during widening cost of living protests. A 21-year-old volunteer member of Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard was killed during protests over the Islamic Republic's worsening economic situation. Iran's civilian government has until now struck a conciliatory approach to the initially shopkeeper-led protests while warning demonstrators not to plunge the country into instability. Instability, we wouldn't want that, would we? And Iran's government offers, as they're reporting here, is offering some kind of dialogue. The Telegraph reporting that Iranian security forces beat protesters who cried death to Khamenei. Tehran threatens a national lockdown after mass unrest follows rampant inflation and a currency crisis. Jerusalem Post has shared with us some really powerful imagery of what's happening on the ground that I want to share with you. First of all, look at this, the intensifying protests in Tehran, where protesters set fire to a Basij base in Asadabad and chanted death to Khamenei, cursed be Khamenei.
Khamenei! Khamenei! Khamenei!
We've got more here as well. So this is also protesters in a western province seen marching in the streets while chanting Iranian, shout out, scream for your right. Wow. So what's going on here is they're chanting, this is the national slogan, Reza, Reza Pahlavi, calling for the restoration of the monarchy. Wow. Then we also hear in the city of Arak, protesters were filmed shouting anti-regime chants, saying that the IRGC, you are ISIS. And Maya Tusi, who we had on the show recently, a British Iranian podcaster who hosts Tusi TV, he just tweeted, RIP Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, look, there have been predictions before. During the 12-day Israel-Iran war, there are predictions that this was all going to lead to the collapse of the Iranian regime. It didn't happen. People are predicting it's going to happen now, and whether it actually materializes is another matter. What's clear, though, is that every time we see more of this chaos erupting, it definitely moves the dial closer towards regime change. Because the biggest thing that's stopping this is there's a culture of fear within Iran. But what happens is, as things get worse and worse, and even the things that Iran says, okay, well, yeah, we might not be as good economically, we might have these sanctions, but look at these things that make us strong. Look at these things that give us national pride. As those things start to diminish as well, and quality of life, public services, all these things start to collapse, the trade-off of risking your security, your freedom, all these things by protesting, the trade-off isn't as severe because life is so bad anyway. So it becomes more and more likely that this, and frankly other authoritarian regimes, are going to see their end sooner or later. And in many ways it will be like the collapse of the Soviet Union, the collapse of communism. Ultimately, ideas that are based on lies, that are based on evil, that are a perversion of genuine, healthy morality and spirituality, cannot survive in the end. And for those who aren't so familiar with what Iran's, the theology that governs everything they do, that drives their hatred of Israel and America and everything, we actually made a documentary on this very topic, about the theology that, and it is shocking, by the way, they have all these kind of end times beliefs that governs everything that they do. And it will help, this documentary will help you understand what it is that Iran's holy war concept is all about. Have a watch of the trailer for it, and if you want to watch the full thing, you can just click the link below in the video description. The Islamic Republic of Iran. For over 4 decades, its leaders have stood defiantly, their voices thundering through Tehran's streets, chanting death to Israel and waging a relentless war on the West. But what fuels this fierce, unyielding hatred? Is it politics? A grab for regional power? Or something even more profound? A theology that casts Israel and the West as cosmic enemies in a divine battle for the end of days. In this JTV Plus documentary, we embark on a journey to unravel the apocalyptic beliefs at the core of Iran's revolution. We'll uncover the sacred Shia doctrines that prophesy a world reborn through chaos, where a hidden redeemer, the Mahdi, will rise to vanquish evil, with Israel and America as the ultimate foes. We'll dive deep into the mystical visions of a global Islamic order, where martyrdom and jihad pave the path to divine victory. We'll explore how these ancient beliefs shape Iran's every move, from its fiery rhetoric to its deadly proxy wars. From the revolutionary sermons of Ayatollah Khamenei, who ignited a nation, to the shadow wars of spies, cyber attacks, and missiles that have pushed the region to the brink. We'll trace the arc of a regime bent on reshaping history, and we'll reveal the climactic moment when Israel struck back with Operation Rising Lion, a daring, high-stakes operation that shook the world and redefined the conflict. This is not just a story of a nation, but of a creed that seeks to rewrite the future, a conflict that threatens to engulf us all. Join us as we expose the hidden truths behind what Iran sees as its sacred mission, its unrelenting rage, and the battle for our world's destiny. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.